Hey, hello, good everybody. So my name is Victor, and I'm going to be your anchor for this series. So we want to go through an IoT CCTV system home automation series. But for this series, we're going to be starting with CCTV systems. So for students that are taking our solar and inverter training, we take CCTV training as a added bonus to the course. So if you're in that category, you can go through this series and you learn most of the fundamentals you need to set up CCTV systems, either in home, industries, or in any place where closed circuit television systems are needed. Okay, so it's going to be a very brief but very concise ride. Now, we'll talk about CCTV systems. So most of the times in any situation where you have power, you have alternate energy, either wind, either solar, either hybrid system. In any circumstance where you have power, then it makes a whole lot of sense to be able to implement a CCTV system, because the CCTV system helps us to understand what is happening, helps us to prevent crime, help us to ward off criminals, and help us to monitor our building. And one of the things it can help us do also is to record footage of events. So this guide is going to help you know all of the fundamentals on how to set up a CCTV system. Okay, so some of the things we're going to be looking at is we're going to be looking at the different types of CCTV systems, what makes up a CCTV system, how do you power a CCTV system, either from your inverter or from electricity, because we call CCTV system a low voltage circuit. Low voltage circuit meaning that a CCTV camera just uses roughly around 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Most of the times it doesn't exceed maximum you'll be getting. If it's for very big CCTV cameras, you'll be getting up to, let's say, 50 to 70 watts. That is heavy duty cameras that can go up to a kilometer. But for the major cameras you have in homes, you have in offices, most of them don't exceed between 3 to 5, 6 watts. So you call CCTV systems low voltage circuits, because they don't consume a lot of electricity. So if you have an inverter at home, if you have constant electricity, so CCTV system is a good thing to add to the box so that you can understand what is happening in your facility. So let's do some introduction to CCTV system. So this is going to be some theory and some hands-on, and I'm going to show you some case studies on how CCTV systems can be used to actually prevent crime and to help us understand what is happening within our facility. So what's CCTV? So the full meaning of CCTV is closed circuit television. So, your normal television, the signal is coming from somewhere, but in a CCTV system, it is just within an enclosed environment. So that's why you call it closed circuit television, right? So we're going to look at different components that makes up a CCTV system. So the question is, how does a CCTV system work? So a CCTV system is going to consist of something that is going to collect the video signal, then a power supply that is going to power the item, the camera. Just like, your phone. If your phone, you want to use your camera, your phone should be fully charged. If you are using a normal DSLR camera, or a normal camera that the photographers use, they need to have power, either batteries or something. Same thing for a regular home use or industry use CCTV camera, you must have power supply, right? So you have a camera system, you have a power supply, then you have what we call a DVR. A DVR is digital video recorder. We're going to look at some of these things practically. So a DVR is called a digital video recorder. So there are two major types. You have an NVR and a DVR. So a DVR is a digital video recorder, most of the time used for analog cameras. Then an NVR, network video recorder, is a recording system that is used for IP camera or internet protocol cameras or network cameras, right? So you're going to see the differences as we move on. So understand that CCTV cameras normally will be placed at business entrances around the perimeter. We're also going to look at how we can plan our installation, because you don't just install what's it called? You don't just install CCTV cameras, because sometimes you might have what we call blind spots, right? You might have blind spots. So to prevent blind spots, just like if you are driving your car, there are some aspects of a mirror you're not going to see. You bring in that learning also to CCTV systems. Okay, so this is a classical example, especially for DVR. So you have the camera, the power supply, the DVR, which there's a hard disk inside this guy. We're going to open one and see what it looks like. So there's a hard disk that records the video signals. But while it's even recording the video signals, it now sends through VGA or HDMI, it sends to a TV or a monitor. So that's to tell you that a CCTV system consists of cameras, power supply, recorder system, that is the digital video recorder or network video recorder, then a display system. Then there's a storage medium inside or storage media inside the DVR or NVR. So there's another type which you call the NVR, network video recorder. So this is for digital cameras. Yes, all the cameras are digital, but we refer to these normal cameras as analog cameras. Then we refer to this as IP cameras. Either you call them IP cameras or you call them network cameras. The thing is that you can assign an IP address to them. In another series of video, I'm going to do some basic networking fundamentals for people that want to go advanced into IP cameras, IP camera configuration. But in this series, we're just going to keep it very, very simple, very, very straightforward, so that you can be able to configure CCTV cameras either in your home, in your office, and for your clients. Then you see you have cameras. You have what we call a PoE switch. So this is some basic of networking. So a PoE switch is a power over Ethernet switch. You see, in this setup now, there's no power for these cameras. So this is the guy that is supplying both power and both the signal, right? So it's going to collect both the power and collect the signal and send it into the video recorder. And in some cases, you might want to view your signal remotely. So you have maybe you might be using Glow, or you might be using Airtel or Bati or whatever telecom provider. You can be using that. Then you can configure it to this NVR or DVR. Then you can watch from your phone, even if you are not around. You know, this monitor is connected to this. We're going to see the complete setup. So this is just to give you an idea of the makeup of a CCTV system. So understand that a CCTV system consists of cameras, power supply, or if it is for NVR, a PoE switch, then an NVR or a DVR for analog, then a monitor. Inside this NVR or DVR, you have a hard disk that records the system. Then if you want to be able to view your camera, even while you're not at home, you need to have an internet modem that you're going to connect through cable to the NVR, and you now configure it through the software of the NVR, right? You have many NVRs like High Vision, like you have top CCTV camera brands, right? You have Daha, you have Bosch, you have Panasonic, you have Hikvision, you have Honeywell. The most common ones are ViewTech. ViewTech is another one. ViewTech camera, CCTV. So you have some very common ones in the market. You have ViewTech, right? ViewTech surveillance system. You also have Daha. you have Hack Vision, and you have Honeywell. You still have Bosch. They are premium brands, actually, Bosch, Panasonic, and Samsung, right? Brands, all right? So you have, there are so many brands. This Daha is very, very common also, and not so pricey. Okay, so now we all know the benefits of CCTV cameras. So if you want to detect criminals, even at times in some buildings, you will just see where they put notice and they say, this place is under CCTV surveillance. CCTV surveillance notice. So you see some building, in some part of a building, they just have it. They say, warning, this place is under 24-hour CCTV surveillance. If you have this in your building, it's going to detect criminals. So criminals will know that, oh, we are watching. So that's one of the good things. But later on, when we start talking about planning our setup for CCTV, there are some things we need to learn, because some criminals might cover up their faces. They may wear many layers of coverage on their face. So that means that when you are planning your installation, there are some cameras that you should have hidden. At times we call them spy cameras. There are some that can be open, right? Spy camera with audio. So you can have a combination of both spy cameras and the open cameras, because some thieves, some of the things they are going to do is to first destroy as many cameras as they are going to be able to destroy before they now start even perpetrating what they want to do. So you can combine spy cameras and the regular either Doom camera or bullet cameras and the rest. So you want to ward off criminals. You want to be able to understand what is happening within your facility. Like, there's one installation we did for a water company. The owner was not around, so he is always not available within the facility. Then he implemented a system so that the system is able to monitor what is going on. Even there are some cameras that are not so pricey, like the MTN iSight, right? The MTN iSight, not too expensive, less than 50,000 naira. You can have a system that can monitor what is happening within a facility, right? If it's outdoor, let's say you have a garage or you have a business, you want to know what is happening outside your facility, you can use the iSight 4G surveillance. Or if it's within a facility, you can use the regular iSight, which is less than, I think 35,000 or between 35,000 thereabout. I think it used to be sold for 25,000 naira. Are you seeing? So there are different cameras. So you see this one is just 23,750. This one is a doorbell camera. This is just a combination of both the Wi-Fi and like a surveillance system that they have. This is external outdoor. Then this one have a battery, but this one does not have a battery. You have to supply a battery to it. Maybe if you have a battery of 10,000 naira, you can add to this particular one. But this particular one from MTN, it has a battery, right? So these are different types of cameras you can use to actually do surveillance, right? Right? So you can just Google MTN iSight, very affordable systems. You can configure them. Some of them even have their manuals and you can set them up, right? Whereas this one have a 10-meter cable, so you can install it, especially when you want to survey outside a facility. There's a SIM, you can slot in a SIM and you're good to go. Okay, let's get back to our guide. So now understand there are two major types of cameras. So you have the IP cameras, you also have the analog cameras. Now, the analog cameras uses the coaxial cable. So what does a coaxial cable looks like? Coaxial cable. So it's just a black cable that have a data and a power terminal within the cable, and it's very thick somehow. So, but most people prefer to use this is the cable here. So most people prefer to use a Cat6 cable to do their wiring. If you attend any of the trains, either in Abuja, Lagos, Port Harcourt, or Owerri office, so you will see a camera, or you could get to the market and tell them you want a coaxial cable for camera systems. It's just something like this. Yeah, so this is how it looks like. So you see this particular cable. So this is for the data. This is what goes into the DVR, the digital video recorder. So this is the power. So this is what goes into your power supply cable, power supply system. So what does a DC CCTV power supply system looks like? So it's just a box that helps to supply power into the cameras. So a camera can be, let me look for something that is very clear and open. So all of these guys are camera. Okay, yeah, this one is very clear. This one is very neat. So you have 4-way, you have 9-way. Like this one now, it's 4-way. You have 9-way, you have 16-way, you have so many ways, right? So each camera, you will put in the positive, negative into this. You see, each of them have a fuse box. So positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. So this power pack will be able to take care of 4 cameras. So this is the DC supply for what? For 4 cameras. Take, for instance, this one is going to be able to take care of 18 cameras. It then means if you have 18 cameras, this power will go into this DVR, right? This power will go into this data is going to go into this DVR, and this power is going to go into this power supply. But you see, the power supply is just for four cameras. If you start having multiple cameras, you need a power supply box like this that you're going to use to power all of the cameras, right? Okay, so that's the main difference between an IP camera and an analog camera. You're going to see the difference here. Let me just get you a picture that's going to actually differentiate. Yeah, so this is the difference between an analog and an IP camera. So you see, for a DVR, the point is, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 points. So this is the clear-cut difference between a DVR and an NVR. So a coaxial cable goes in here, and RJ45 goes in here, right? A normal Cat5 or Cat6 cable goes into here, right? So this is the clear-cut difference between the two. The box looks similar, but you see this point? You have your coaxial cable goes in here, and your normal Cat6 cable goes here. So this is what the coaxial cable looks like, right? And your Cat6 cable looks like this. Cat6 cable. I will do a video demonstration of a complete CCTV system setup, record the entire system and show. Sorry, Cat6 cable. So this is what the Cat6 cable looks like. What we normally call in Ethernet cable, right? So your normal Ethernet cable used to connect or that comes with your router, that's what you call a Cat6 cable, right? Cat is category, right? So you have Cat5, Cat6, Cat7, Cat8, Cat9, like that. But the very common one we see for basic home use is Cat6 cable, right? So inside this Cat6 cable, you have orange, white. Let me see. Cat6 cable images, color code. So you have orange, white, brown, white, blue, white, and green, white. So that's the 4 pairs of cable you have in an RJ45 cable, right? So these 4 pairs of cable, you're going to use 2 for power, then you're going to use 2 for data. So that's how you're going to use the the Cat6 cable to power your cameras. So 2 cables are going to go to data, that is going to go to your NVR, then 2 are going to go to your power supply. So I'm going to explain how you're going to run that. That's if you're doing an analog camera. Whereas if you are doing a digital camera, you can use your entire Cat6 cable into your power over internet. So I'm going to demonstrate everything. So let's try it on. So this is the clear-cut difference between a DVR and an NVR. Okay. So okay, we're trying to differentiate between analog cameras and IP cameras, right? So like I said, the IP cameras use Cat6 cable, so they are more clear, they are more better, and they are going to use bandwidth. So you must have an existing network to be able to use them, or maybe use a switch. Or if you're not using a switch to power your cameras, then you can set up the IP cameras to your NVR directly without the PoE switch. Okay, so the question is always, which one is better? Should I use analog cameras or should I use digital IP cameras? And the thing is about, in terms of speed transfer of data, IP cameras are better. In terms of durability, the analog cameras can be better. In terms of higher resolution, sharpness, IP cameras are going to be better. You could just do a comparison between IP cameras and analog cameras, right? So you see some of these differences. So it all depends. In terms of cost also, IP cameras are more expensive compared to analog cameras, right? And they give you better quality, right? They give you better quality. In terms of cable, right, the IP cameras are more expensive to set up compared to the analog cameras. So it's just like when you're trying to set up solar systems and you're considering monocrystalline panels and polycrystalline panels. So each of them have their pros and cons. So depending on what you want to do, how much you have, and what kind of surveillance you want to do, that will not tell your best bet. Okay. So you see some of the different setup for an analog camera. You see for an analog camera, okay, I think there was an image that we have here that might be of concern. Okay, this one. So analog cameras that are much cheaper, but the cables can be a little bit expensive. That coaxial cable is, and it's very bulky to handle, right? So for IP cameras, you have broad range. IP cameras are also very expensive. In terms of resolution, in terms of sharpness, your analog cameras will give you lower quality. IP cameras will give you high definition, right? An IP camera can do from here 1 kilometer. Scalability, it can be costly in terms of maybe replacing or changing stuff. Maybe you want to remove some cameras, be able to do some additional things compared to what you did in your initial plan. The IP cameras give you some kind of flexibility, intelligence. So analog cameras doesn't have so much intelligence. Things like facial recognition, things like temperature sensor, things like motion detection. You don't see those things in analog cameras. You get them in IP cameras. So, and that's one of the reasons why IP cameras are very expensive. Just like during COVID-19, you see that some cameras that can be placed in front. If you just say high vision, motion sensor cameras, or you say high vision, temperature, camera screening, right? You're going to see it. It's going to be expensive. So, but you can implement that, and it can be set up to be able to say, okay, if it exceeds so what's it called? So you call them thermal cameras. So they have some kind of thermal system through infrared. They can detect temperature. So if it goes beyond a particular temperature, it can raise an alarm. So those kind of systems, you're going to have them in IP cameras. You're not going to have them in analog cameras. So those are some of the little differences. As you see, as you do your market survey, you're going to understand better. Okay, so like I said, your CCTV system consists of the cameras, the cabling, the NVR or DVR, and a hard disk, right? Okay, let me see the important things. Now, you see this power over internet, PoE switch, PoE switch. So for a PoE switch is just a device. What it does is that it supplies both power and data to the cameras. So if you have an IP camera, you find out that an IP camera will just use a cable. So this is an IP camera. It will use a cable, one cable. It wouldn't need to do, okay, let's say data cable separate, power cable separate, just one cable. But the thing is that it's going to be able to collect a video signal. The question now is, what about the power signal? How do you send power to this guy? You can use a PoE switch. So that's one of the reasons why you use a PoE switch, because the PoE switch is going to collect both data and power. Okay, let me see, there's another thing. So hard drives. So in planning your CCTV systems, hard drive is very key. So just like your phone, if your phone, you're always doing video record and you are not, you don't have enough space, it's going to tell, because you will not be able to record as much as possible, right? So it makes sense for you to be able to make sure that you have enough space possible. We can actually calculate how much space we're going to need depending on how long we are recording, right? So if we're recording for 12 hours every day, it depends. If we're recording for 20 hours, if we're recording for 24 hours, if you're recording 247, it then means that you're going to need a large space, maybe 1 terabyte, 3 terabyte. You can actually do the calculation to be able to know how much space you are going to be needing for your calculation. So this is what the formula looks like. But there are several online calculators you can use for the calculation. So you can use this one, it's available in the manual, or you can use this one, any of them. All you just need to do is to put in how many cameras you have, what is their resolution, then how long are you recording per day, and what is their bit rate in terms of their resolution, their at what speed do they record per second or per minute, depending on the spec you have on your camera. So if you enter those figures, it's going to tell you how much cameras, how much hard disks that you need for that particular DVR system. Most of the times, your DVR, your NVR system, they don't come with a hard disk except you are buying a complete solution, right? Most of the times, you buy them separately. And at times, if it's a bundled package, you might buy them together. So you see, in this case, this calculator now, I have 12 cameras. Let's say I have 10 cameras. You can adjust this. You can say, okay, no, I just have 10 cameras. Frames per second, so you can leave it at the default. Hours per day, I want to do 12 hours per day. The number of days stored, I want to do 30 days, right? Now, the thing is, if you are doing 30 days, it then means that every 30 days, that hard disk is going to be full, right? That hard disk is going to be very full. And if that hard disk is going to be full, what you're going to do is to do what? Is to back up the hard disk and check if you have any incident. And one of the reasons why people install cameras most of the time is to know what is happening. And if you don't install, if you don't if you don't check what has happened in the time past, then you might not know what is happening. Now, if your camera is a 3 MP camera, you see, you're going to be needing more space. That's why it's good at times you can set up your cameras to only record when it detects motion, especially if you're using those kind of cameras. Not all cameras can do that, or not all NVRs can do that, but it's good to take you less space. If you're recording, let's say, average 5 hours per day, or you're recording like 4 hours per day, it's only detecting when it sees people, or when it sees a motion, it's going to pick up signal. But it's good if it's going to be recording completely, then you're going to need a whole lot of space. So if you're recording at a base resolution, or 960 or 720, depending on what you're recording, so the higher the megapixel of your camera, like if you see high vision 5MP camera, right? So you see the price. So this is a high definition camera. So because, and sometimes when you see they tell you something is 5MP, not necessarily is it 5MP, right? So you want to be very sure, depending on the brand. 2MP camera, right? So 2MP camera. So you see, one thing you're going to be doing for me as an assignment is to do a survey to be able to understand the different prices of these items. Because later on, you're going to be learning, okay, if I want to do my quotation for my client, this is the price of cameras, this is the price of my cable, this is the price of my accessories, then before I mount and set up everything. Later on, we're going to be looking at planning our entire CCTV system setup. Okay, so this is about loading. So this is what a 5MP high vision camera looks like, right? So this is the average price. This is 5MP. So this is going to be very sharp. Take, for instance, you want to be looking at, you want to be able to see plate numbers, right? You want to be able to see plate numbers. If you want to see plate numbers, 1MP or 2MP might not be so sharp for you. So that's why you see some videos, somebody's able to pick up the cameras of the picture of the car, but cannot pick the number. So the higher the MP, the megapixel, the better. So this is going to give you an idea about how much space you need for your, what's it called, for your hard disk, the hard disk that is going to be inside the NVR or DVR. Okay, so let's look at types of cameras. So there are quite a lot of cameras, and you're going to deploy them in different instances. You're going to deploy them in different instances. So you have what we call the bullet cameras, the zoom camera, the two-red, the pan-tilt zoom, the camera fisheye, the multiple, the sensor cameras, the doorbell cameras, and some other security cameras. So this is what we call the bullet camera, just like the bullet, right? And most of them are outdoors. You still have some of them that are indoor cameras. You have the zoom cameras. You have the pan-tilt zoom. Pan-tilt zoom, a camera that you can actually rotate to the left, to the right, and it can actually zoom. Not all cameras can zoom out and zoom in, right? So depending on the application, what you want to use it for, especially when you have a camera that is mounted and you want to be able to inspect the gate or to see who is at the gate, you should be able to zoom in. In such case, you need a PTZ camera. So a PTZ camera is more expensive compared to just a regular zoom camera or a bullet camera. The same manufacturer, the same megapixel. So this is a fisheye. Now, a fisheye is a very, very nice, most times affordable camera. Let me give you an instance. There's this Senator Elisha, is it Abo camera? Let me see, there's an instance where, okay, good. So this is an instance. Let me see if I can capture it. So this is an example of a fisheye camera in action. So this person installed a fisheye camera and was able to capture this particular assault of this particular person in this facility. So you see this particular person assaulted this woman So I don't know many of us that can remember this story. So this was captured with a fisheye camera, right? So just on top, and you have something like this, right? So they are they're not very pricey. They are very affordable. With less than 20,000 naira, you can have one, implement, and do remote monitoring on your phone, right? So that's what we call a fisheye camera. You now have a multi-sensor camera, a camera that can maybe they have temperature. I talked about temperature sensor. They can have different kind of sensors on them. Then you have the doorbell camera. You have wireless camera. Then you have outdoor. So this is an outdoor camera. Now, the question always is, should I hide my camera? I talked about this earlier on, because you don't want maybe somebody that wants to steal something to be able to say, okay, yeah, this is the camera, so I'm going to go this way and the rest. So you can do a combination. You can have some cameras visible, then you can use spy cameras in some cases. So let's look at planning. So if I want to plan, so Benjamin Franklin said, by failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. So that's what Benjamin Franklin said. So how should you position your camera? How do you map out all of the places where your cameras are going to stay? So the rule of thumb normally is you should make sure that you position your camera where you have assets, where you have important items. That's where you should have your cameras, right? All the places where you have important items, your camera should be there. So if it's in the house, all your entrances, back entrances, the side, the windows, the doorways, storage, anywhere there's going to be human activity, you want to have cameras there. If it's for a retail store, aisle, shelf. Now imagine, let me give you another case study of supermarket fire video. So, and if it's a supermarket, if you're installing CCTV camera for your client in the supermarket, what's it called? The aisle, it's very, very important in terms of installing your camera, right? So let's use 2 minutes to watch this video.
This is the spot where the fire incident started in the store. And then if you look at the time on the screen, 7 o'clock dot. And we'll observe the girl, she's coming now. You can see she's just walking confidently on her own. And then it's worthy to note at this point that throughout the time she entered the store at this day, she did not come here for once before now. So she's coming here for the first time today now. And we can see how she picked the lighter. She knew exactly where everything is or was at this time. So she picked the lighter. We can see she's lighting back up now. Somebody was passing, she pretended as if nothing was happening. And when she was done, she replaced the lighter back and was going back. You can see her looking back to see what she has done. So the fire is just starting up, so it cannot be easily noted or identified by passerby or anybody. And we can see the lady at the far end. The girl is watching, she's observing what she has done, if it has lighted up or not. If you look closely, you see her moving away. But the fire is increasing gradually. So because it's been set up on packs of lighters to be easier for it to explode.
So this is a camera on the aisle of a supermarket.
We will not be able to identify it at this point because it's just beginning. The fire is increasing now, and then if you notice, the lighters are now exploding. So we can see the flame is catching up, spreading. Okay, so staff has seen the incident and he has run to get a fire.
So you're going to see that there's also a camera outside the supermarket. So we're going to talk about planning setup of your cameras. Okay, so this video seems not complete. Okay, this is a 3 minutes video. Let me look for the other one that has the one that is 4 minutes that have the external camera that was actually videoing what was happening outside, right? So you see, this is the 9-year-old. This is when they were entering, right? So you see, where you have activity, this is the entrance. This is where she started doing whatever she was doing. This is when the fire started catching up. Then this is another camera. This is another camera outside. So you see, if you want to investigate some things, or if you want to be able to install, you see, one of the things somebody was saying on this comment is that we need to change our mentality. We need to install CCTV, but nobody will be installed to monitor it. Had it been somebody was monitoring, it would have been prevented, right? So that's one thing you also advise your client. That's why we talk about mobile monitoring, especially for big companies, for enterprise systems. Once they install 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cameras, they should employ someone that is going to sit and monitor the cameras. You find that in some instances where somebody, a phone shop, phones are stolen, but it's only after 2 months when they're not checking the CCTV cameras when they want to do backup, then I found out that, oh, somebody stole from the shop. So in retail store, you have aisle, like that supermarket now. If there was no fire in the aisle, that is, aisle is just within 2 rows, you won't know what was happening. The shelf, fridge, freezer, lockout areas, entrance and exit. For offices, you have, for health and safety, you have stairways, you have lift area, just anywhere you're going to have human activity. For petrol stations, you have that. For warehouse, you have that. For other areas, just where you have activity. Anywhere you're going to have traffic, you want to make sure that you have cameras there. Now look at this image. You see this image, you have camera 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 cameras. Now I bet you this system does not have any blind spot. What do we mean by blind spot? So a blind spot is an area where your camera is not capturing. Right? So you must make sure that when you are planning your CCTV installation, you don't have any blind spot. Because if you have a blind spot, you can just install only a few cameras and somebody can still come in, do something, and the cameras are not going to capture anything. So you need to make sure you have sufficient camera to cover all aspects. If you check this area, for instance, if you look at this place, look at this place. If somebody comes in straight here, this guy will capture the person. So you want to make sure that there is no part of the building that your camera is not capturing. So same thing with angle positioning. You want to position properly. Then you want to make sure that you protect your wires from rats, from the weather, especially if you are sending cameras outdoor. You want to protect them. Then you don't want to use indoor camera outside. Outdoor camera. So you see, outdoor cameras are very, very rugged in the sense that they have some kind of protection. They have some kind of protection on top of the camera to protect the camera, right? That's one of the characteristics of outdoor cameras. And you see that this place is mostly aluminum or steel or something very durable to protect the camera. Okay, so I think that's all. We've looked at the fundamentals of setting up CCTV systems. So basically we said you need an NVR, you need, or a DVR, you need your cameras, you need your hard disks, you need your monitor, you need internet if you're going to configure it for remote viewing. So if you have questions, you can ask in the group, or you can enroll for any of the training in any of the offices. Most of these things are going to be done hands-on so that you see how it is done. Thank you very much, and catch you in the next series. In the next series, I'm going to find time practicalize that, especially for students that are going to be in any of the physical classes. And we're also going to look at IoT, Internet of Things, and we're going to look at other items as time permits. Thank you very much.